Okay, this is going to be part three, where I talk about my art books I got recently, or just ones I pulled out of storage to show you guys what I research. Here's the eating disorder source book. I don't have an eating disorder myself. Obviously, I know I don't look like a hunk, so I know I physically am average looking, but I don't. Well, anyway, so this book is just so I can know people better. Again, with the same with these like psychology books, trying to figure out people and what makes them tick, because I don't always get a lot of social cues other people just seem to pick up on really easily. Again, there's certain people that certain types of people I really identify with and able to read much easier, like old people, kids, teenagers. You know, when people show where they're coming from, and you can just see it coming, what they're thinking with their body and what their behaviors are. They're easier to read than people that are 18 to 45 years old, which are usually not as easy to read. So here's the eating disorder source book. It's more of a clinical book, but it'll give me pointers on why people have eating disorders. And it turns out if you date a lot of beautiful girls, a lot of them have situations like that, body image issues or bulimia, whatever. Here's Children with Tourette's Syndrome, a parent's guide. Just kind of curious what Tourette syndrome is. I mean, I've seen documentaries on it before, but it's another thing to get. If I'm going to be a teacher and I have a student that has this will help me understand it better rather than just think, oh, they're just, I'll just send them to the school counselor. I just won't deal with it. Maybe it'll give me pointers on how to help a student in class or just someone in general. Here's Dying to be Young. It'll give me insight into why even some women are so beautiful that they still feel the need to go underneath the knife and change their face with permanently plastic surgery, almost as an addiction in itself. Here's Politics of Heroin in Southeast Asia. I never used drugs before my whole life for this type of drugs ever, so I don't really relate to the drug culture, but this is an interesting book. It's really thick. I mean, it's like probably 600 pages, but it'll just like, it's one of those like French Connection movie types of books. Just curious what the heck it's about. Here's, this book I've been looking for a long ass time. Peter Bogdanovich and Orson Welles. Peter Bogdanovich is the famous film director and from the 70s, did The Last Picture Show, and he's still around in Hollywood. I've seen him out and about in town before. He's the one who married the girl who got killed by her psycho ex-boyfriend, the Playboy model. I think Stephanie Stranton or whatever her name was. Anyway, so he interviewed the famous film director Orson Welles, I guess in the late 60s, early 70s, and I finally found a copy. I mean, I think this book is rather new, not very old. I was looking for years his interviews he did, Orson Welles and people like that, like the guy who did Stagecoach, the director John Ford. Yeah, he did a lot of John Ford stuff. Here's another book on called Rethinking Thin: The New Science, Weight Loss and Myths, and Realities of Dieting. And again, it's not so much for me like, I'm a few pounds overweight here and there if I don't exercise enough that month or something. It's more about reading other people and how their obsessions, what they're obsessed about, where they come from, so I can understand people better. Here's an awesome book, Collectibles of Homefront Collectibles of World War II. It's a lot of propaganda art, and I'm really interested in the kind of like racist art or propaganda art or making an enemy out of somebody, like, because this stuff is art at its most powerful. Here's that Donald Duck cartoon where he goes after Hitler. So here's, like, is it Eisenhower? No, it's General Vandergriff. I don't know who he is, but it's like showing people very stoic. So it's kind of propaganda, but sometimes propaganda is the best art out there. And as a Jewish guy, some of the best artists that are the most dangerous are the ones who worked for Hitler. Like, I forget her name right now. It'll come to me in a minute. But I've seen all Triumph the Will, and I've seen all those movies, and they're really solid movies. But she helped, like, cause death and destruction. So, it's kind of like she could be been one of the best artists of the 20th century, but what she brought about with it was people being slaughtered or countries being taken over that shouldn't have been taken over. So there's ethical issues to being art, not just compositional and design issues. In this book, I didn't show you the cover. It's called Despotism, A Picture of Tyranny. I got this years ago, I think, at a thrift store, antique store or something, but it's real powerful art of destruction and death and mayhem, and it shows that history always hasn't been so kind. And so as a Jewish person, Reformed Jewish, a lot of Jews know they have it pretty good in America, where we're no longer in a ghetto with townspeople coming in to kill us. So that's the nice thing about America, is that they have issues every now and again. I'm not saying we're not a country that doesn't have problems, but it's not like the old days where under a dictator, where if you weren't the popular culture, you could get badly brutalized by the other townspeople or the generals. So what's this one? Oh, this is Inquisition, and it was a tortured instrument, medieval ages museum exhibit installation. And I saw an exhibit like this. I'm not sure. This is not Iron Man. This is where you hang the thing. I saw an exhibition like this in San Diego, right when the Iraq War started. They had, I think that was Iron Maiden when it was passed. Yeah, here's Iron Maiden, where you get stuck inside, and there's these sharp nails or daggers that stab you while you're stuck inside this shape. So it's pretty dark. And at first, when you saw the exhibit, it's like, oh, cool, heavy metal. Then you started to think that someone would actually put their head in this and it'd be crunched, and you saw how horrific it would be to be so helpless and defenseless against someone ripping your body, your soul right out of your body. They're physically putting the pain in so much that your mind, soul, and body is just like disappearing as your body withers away with the torture. I mean, it was really not so glamorous. But then you see all these old church paintings and a lot of the different things, like you'll find in different pictures about Jesus Christ or the saints or apostles of late medieval times, early Renaissance, things like this, which are torture instruments, next to the pictures of biblical times, because they were like going through what was it saying? They were going through what they were doing in their own countries, but relating it to the biblical era. So it's kind of strange, but you, after reading books like that or seeing museums like that, you end up saying, oh, okay, I recognize that from the paintings of the era. And then I'll end right here and start part 4 in 1 minute. Thank you.